All right, so right here you have the Mocaine, and this is what you add to it to make it incredible for this nice fall going into winter season. Right here, you put some of this in there, some pumpkin spice, and a little whipped cream on top, and you have the most amazing fat burning, energy enhancing, brain boosting concoction you could ever dream of. You gotta try it, for real. It's amazing.
Greetings. So I'm walking to the usual hills for the morning, and it's nice and cold out, so it should be a good one. With that said, lots going on. Going to start a new 4-week training course called Universal Laws starting the 16th of this month, I believe. So yeah, on a Tuesday, going to go Tuesdays and Sundays. The usual 1.5 to 2 hour live streams and backing up with the recordings. Because I want to work on the new content that's coming through, and I want to prepare some new material that I've been rolling out, and get ready for January. I think we're going to do in mid to late January another live workshop in person in Florida probably, and that could be exciting. But before then, I just want to start rolling out some new material, a new protocol that I drafted up last week in a meditation. I just kind of laying it out, and I was like, you know what? I got to start teaching this stuff to the class, and then get the results. Start scaling up some progress. That's what it's all about. It's all about the progress. So anyway, been having this weird phenomenon where, not sleeping much lately, getting up at 3 o'clock and not going back to bed. And I don't know what that's all about. It just feels like an energy shift in the planet. It feels like a consciousness of getting up before everybody else and just having that quiet time. And I know that 4 a.m. is the time when you're optimal for your programming. So if you're going to do your best work at 4 a.m. might be the best time, because your brain states are optimized for it. So I think that's why unconsciously I do it. I get up, and then I have some Mocaine. It's cold out, so I'm back on the Mocaine again. Off rehab and back on Mocaine. It's funny because Nicole, someone who came to our live workshop, she tried some Mocaine, and she said that she was like shaking before the training. And I said, well, you're not the only one. It was the Thursday morning that we did the live class, and I had to open up before Michael Jaco comes, so I got on the morning session. So I got up in the morning and I did my 2-hour workout on Mocaine, of course. And then I get up in front of the room and my legs are shaking. And I laugh at it because I know exactly what it is. It's just the adrenaline pumping through the body, and I'm just like, okay, bring it down. I don't need to go hunt a panther or run away from a tiger. Just bring it down. So anyway, the way to do Mocaine, though, for real, is get some pumpkin spice creamer, or whatever your favorite creamer is. You make it hot. So you want to get hot water, probably 12 to 16 ounces of hot water. And then you put the Mocaine in, just like a hot cocoa. And then you add some of your favorite creamer in there and some whipped cream on top. Don't worry about the calories. Quit that keto diet stuff. Just quit all that. It's stupid. It really is. You know, you can eat whatever you want as long as your consciousness is prepared for it. And it's not that bad. So there's only like 35 calories in the serving. So, but what it does is it's got the noradrenaline formula in there and the brain boosting formula. And so what I noticed is that like I'm peaking out. And so that's what I did at 3 o'clock this morning. And I started sketching out this whole new workshop. And I started, I did all my trading that I had to do for the ministry in terms of some of the cryptocurrencies and whatnot, and studying up and abroad on that. And, by the time 7 o'clock comes around, and I'm just like, man, I'm like, I've already got 3.5 solid straight hours of work in. My mind is like, more. There's got to be more. So that's why I laugh, because I just said, hey, I told Sabrina, I said, before I do my mentoring sessions for the day, which, by the way, are keeping me busy now. I've got a peak schedule for the one-on-ones, and I haven't done that in years. I really haven't really wanted to do that. But now, now we're getting into the trenches. It's like the boots on the ground phase of this whole spiritual war that we're in. We've been preparing for a long time, but now it's like, the time to be clandestine and all that is pretty much over. Now we're just going to come out and we're going to hit it face first. And the idea here, and I'm just going to get to the point, is that for those people who came to this area, they realized that the energy consciousness had lifted substantially. And I told this to Michael Jaco, and I said, when I came to see you, I realized a lot of things. First and foremost, I realized how important Michael Jaco is in the big scheme of things, and I will go off on a limb to probably say he's probably the most important person on the planet right now in terms of what he actually does to raise the consciousness of humanity, because he reaches the large audience and he brings them into the right intuitive brain, which is the ascension. And so, what I told him is, I said, look, after I worked with you, I focused on it every day. I did it every day for a year. I didn't miss but like one day, maybe. That's it. And that was just due to, some unforeseen circumstance. But I did this every day, raised my consciousness. I went out, and that's when God gave me the PTT. And I know I met Saint Germain right on this pier right here, just coming right down here. This is where it happened. That's a true story. So for people that say, oh, it's all make-believe, well, believe what you want, but I do know this. I do know that the consciousness here has been elevated. People felt it, and we brought down into submission that whole tyranny thing that was trying to latch its roots here. And that's one of the things that the guy told me, who appeared to be Saint Germain, is he said, look, that thing that's coming, he's like, it's not going to come here. He says, because you and I are going to make sure it never does. And then I was given the PTT right after that, and that is it's the ultimate technique to bring consciousness back to first principle, which is what your work is. So the truth is that you are to acknowledge the divinity, okay? Acknowledgement is what brings about the transformation. So the rest of the work is up to the divinity itself, all right? So that brings us to the point of why we do another workshop. Well, the idea here is that something really happens in the interaction with these workshops, and I gotta take you with me, where you get a breakthrough in a way that you never know how it's gonna happen. I never know how it's gonna happen. Every time I do a workshop, I get a breakthrough. And I do these workshops because God's always got new content. And when God says to my heart, do another workshop, I say, okay, I'll do it. And then I figure it out why we're doing it. And then the revelations come. And I usually don't know the answers till the day of. And that's just how God works. God is the God of now time. And, man plans, God laughs. I have other plans. I got other things I'd rather do. God told me to take some coaching clients on. God told me to do a workshop. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't need to do any of that stuff. I could retire now forever. I could just be done. But ultimately, that's not what I'm here for, and that's not what you're here for. We're called for a reason, and we have a purpose, and we have a mission. And so part of that is just staying committed to the journey, bonding together with each other, and going on this journey together, because we really are being called to be the light of the world. And our spiritual family, our soul tribe, we're reuniting. And it's all interconnecting, okay? And you get to meet people that are doing the same thing you're doing. You get to scale up your businesses, whatever you're doing, talk about your cryptos, make your money, have fun. Have fun and enjoy your life while you're in the trenches, because it's really not a gruesome and tiresome spiritual battle. It's actually an opportunity to just rest into the principles that we talk about here and let God do all of the floor raising and the ceiling raising, so that your worst days are better than your old worst days, or better than your old best days, and then you have a limitless capacity to go higher. So that's what's going on, and you guys should come along. You guys should do the class. It's like the donation to the ministry is like $297, and that's for the 4-week class. It's going to be interactive. It's not a passive class. I don't want a passive class. People who just sit and listen and, I don't know what they're doing. I want to have a tight-knit group, and I want it to be active. I want it to be an active class. And what I'm going to do differently in this one is I'm going to give you engagement activities to do throughout the week that are going to stretch your abilities. And I'm going to ask you to do things beyond just for yourself. Like here, you see the pier here, all the way around both sides and all the way up. It's about, 8 or 9 mile stretch from way over there all the way around and back up there to the other side. And I used to go on that stretch every single day during the whole lockdown, and I would PTT every day. And what did I do? Well, God's man is not deceived. God's man knows only the truth. God's man is obedient only to the truth. You see, I started perpetually pulling in all of those quarks, graviton, neutrons from the outer collective, refining them through the fire of the Christ, which is the consciousness of truth that meets man. And I started to bring about the elevation of that consciousness throughout this whole geographical area. All right? You can't penetrate this area anymore. This area is uplifted. This area is conscious. All right? That's what spiritual special forces is. That's why I'm drawing you out. Do you realize that one SSF, spiritual special forces operator in each geographic location that's willing to do this work? And I talked about it. A year and a half ago. I started talking about that this was time to do it. But the question is what's it going to take for you to do it? You see, what you make happen for others, God makes happen for you. You see, when you go out and you pray for other people, the likeness of that prayer comes upon yourself. So here's an example. There was a guy, and he had the thing going around, and he couldn't breathe very well, and his fear was kicking in, and they were talking about quarantining everybody in the vicinity, and he actually got into praying in this way, knowing that the principle of God cannot be affected by anything unlike God. Therefore, there is no disease that could interrupt the continuity of goodness within God's manifest creation. With his heart, he began to pray for the others. Not for himself, for the others. And within that same day, he was made whole. He was completely healed. Within that same day. See, it's more effective for you to make your mission about a bigger perspective in other people. In fact, and when people always say, well, how did you manifest money like that when you were really sick and dying with Lyme disease? How did you go to that from 0 to 7 figures so fast? And I say because it wasn't about me. It was about, I wanted to take care of my family, and I was really in pain from being poor and being broke. And it wasn't for me. I did it for me at the end of the day when I needed to show the power of God behalf of my children, or my son and my daughter came shortly after that. But the irony is that when I started to flaunt a little bit, and I started surrounding myself with all these lavish luxuries and got a little arrogant, that that stuff started evaporating, because it wasn't about that. It was supposed to be about demonstrating God's goodness for all, and that's what made it happen so quickly. And so being an SSF, Spiritual Special Forces operator, is about maintaining continuity on this journey and going where God's leading us. And we're going to talk about universal laws this time, the ones that apply to your finances, your relationships, your well-being. And we're going to distill it down into the mechanical skill sets within those laws, so that you can live by principle and not by illusion and the perception of all the stuff that's going on, because that doesn't matter. It's here today and gone tomorrow, but the principle laws are always and forever. So it's like this is law school for spiritual mystics. Okay, this is going to be law school for the spiritual mystic, because part of being Spiritual Special Forces is not only knowledge of the truth, but it's going to be application of the spiritual law that is coexisting within everything going on in your life at the same time, and so that you can understand how to govern your actions, attitudes, and behaviors in a way that is in compliance with spiritual law. Like I just talked about, how money, when it was for others, and prayer, when it was for others, became the thing that worked instantly, okay, without delay. A lot of times you get into these law of attraction courses and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm not getting my demonstration. It's just not happening for me. And I'm like, well, who are you doing it for? If you're doing it for yourself, it's probably not going to have much power behind it. It's going to be pretty weak. And that's the whole point. So in this training course, what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you at the understanding of every new principle we bring in, or every spiritual law that we bring up. I'm going to have you go out during that interim between the next class and actually apply the law. You see, the way to learn is to do and then to teach. And first you must have done it yourself before you are going to be proficient at teaching it to anyone else. Okay? And so this class is going to be about what law we're talking about. Okay, what laws are we working with? Okay, here's the laws. Go use them. Document what happens. Come back. You see? And I'm going to give you very specific instructions of how to use the laws. The example is when I went out every day and prayed over this whole city. Okay? I did that for my children. I did it for the people who were scared around here. And I did it ultimately for the whole collective to rise out of the slumber of this dream, of this thing that was allegedly going around. So one person can make that difference and raise the consciousness. And you know what happens is when 50 or more people go out and do this, and then 100 go out and do this, I'm just going to make a wild guess. I bet you it would take less than 24 Spiritual Special Forces operators worldwide, less than 24, who are committed and engaged to this, to bring total victory to the entire planet. All right. Now, the reason why I say that is because the minute you start doing this and the fire starts burning brighter in those around you, it creates a domino effect and a self-fulfilling, you see, engagement where that fire that's burning in them now begins to burn in others, and it becomes unstoppable in a very short time. And that's what I think we're going to do. And that's what God is putting on my heart. And I don't question God. So God says, do it. I say, let's do it. Let's rock it. You know, God tells me, you know, pretty much no details until like the day of. And that's why I got to stay in the now. I got to stay in the flow, because everything is subject to real time, you know, what's happening in real time. So when this material comes out, it comes out in real time. And this will be a testing period. It's going to be a testing ground workshop for anybody that does it. It's not going to be, you know, how much knowledge and data can you put in your, you know, in your think tank, because I don't care how much knowledge and data you have. That doesn't mean anything. You know, so what? What are you doing with it? That's the whole point. And so we're going to get you out doing it. We're going to get you out demonstrating how powerful this wisdom is. And you, being the conduit of this wisdom, is going to be the, you know, the precipice of change for the entire surroundings around you, that's going to make your dreams come true by making all of their realities, you know, upheld in righteousness once more. All right, that's what we're doing here. So the link is below, and I invite you to get in before the 15th. That's the deadline. You get the immediate $300 discount, and you can take advantage of it. And there'll probably be some bonuses that come along with it. I always throw in some bonuses, probably some additional materials that'll come out. And, you know, regardless if you get the bonuses or not, look at it like this, all right? Imagine, let's say $297 donation, right? Let's say you take that over the course of a year, you're talking between 80 cents and $1 a day, right? Something ridiculous, okay? What if I know how to train you to go out and do things and give you specific instructions on what to do and why you're doing it, which law is being applied, and what if that's the one thing that brings about the entire transformation where you're at and beyond? What is that worth? What is that worth for your loved ones? Here's the big question. You say, well, why do I need to join your class to do it? Well, you don't. You don't need to do anything to do it. But why haven't you done it yet? See, my question is why haven't you done it yet? Why haven't you been out every day praying over your whole city? Why haven't you been PTTing for, you know, an hour a day or so when you're in a troubled environment, knowing, not just thinking, but knowing that you can't help but change that environment by doing it? Why didn't you do it? You see, you can't fool God. You can't fool God into blessing you for non-compliance to a spiritual law. Or I should say in disobedience to a spiritual calling. Okay? Imagine if you were trained to become what I call a spiritual special forces operator. Okay? Imagine if you were trained. But imagine that you sat home and you didn't go out in the trenches and you didn't demonstrate the courage and the fortitude to apply what you know, not just for yourself. Ultimately, who cares about your little needs that you have? Because you're not seeing the big picture. If you go out and you apply it for everyone around you, what do you think is going to happen? You see, I'll tell you what you may have used to think what was going to happen. You thought nothing was going to happen. That's why you didn't do it. If you did do it, by the way, then kudos to you, because you already know. And we've had people like Crystal in the last workshop who said, you know, she prayed this way for a family member, and, you know, they were given a healing, right? Well, that's amazing. Imagine if you did that every day. Imagine if you did it every day. Imagine who you could be in this world. Imagine what your legacy might be one day. Do you think that you need someone to throw holy water on your forehead and dunk you in a pool of water to ordain you? Well, here, come on through the screen right now. And just imagine I'm taking your head and splash it right in the water. Splash! Splash! Here, right on your face. There you go. You're anointed, okay? There you go. I gave you permission. I give you a permission slip to become a minister unto the world and to go out and to do the things from the position of power and not just spectator sport anymore, okay? And not just for yourself. You know, it's really lame at the end of the day when you focus on yourself. I mean, I've done it for periods of my life, and it just makes you feel empty inside. But it also weakens your spiritual power. It also makes you lose your connection to the source, because you're actually doing things the way that this world has engineered you to do. So somebody in trouble is your doorway out of trouble. Somebody in trouble, like everybody that's afraid out here. All right, here's a pro tip for you. You don't need to go speak of the evil, because you create 10 times the evil by talking about it to them all day. What you need to do is you need to come in covertly, a clandestine spiritual mystic, and do the PTT and to do what needs to be done so that you infect the matrix from within it and you implode the consciousness upon itself by destroying it from the inside out. Hey, there's nothing unlawful about that. That's actually the most lawful thing you're commanded to do. All right? Now, when are you going to do it? If you do it on your own and you're going to commit, then you have received the calling and you've been given your anointing. Go do it. Because the world needs you right now. Go do it. If you're not going to do it on your own, or if you just want to team up and you want to learn some new things and you want to go the extra mile, then join our class, join our clinic. And you know, I don't really have anything nothing really else profound to give you. Some days these new insights are coming and I have a lot of things to share, and some days I just want to remind you that just what you know doesn't really mean anything. It's what you do with what you know. That means everything. And going 100% and going all in is the way to go. Going halfway is just not going to cut it. And that's why I took on some mentorship clients, and that's why I say yes to doing more workshops and more. Because, look, I don't want to lose my connection to God. Because, look, if I sat around with tons and tons of money and all this other stuff, but I have not my razor-sharp spiritual sword, then I have nothing. Because all that other stuff is empty, okay? It's an illusion. It's a pipe dream. The truth is your divinity and your connection to spiritual awareness, all right? And that's what the world needs right now, is they need a renaissance of spiritual awareness. And that's what I'm asking for you to partake in. And that's it. I'm going to let you go. And then, I don't know. I'll be back when I'm back. I don't really need to do these videos anymore. There's nothing really else that I need to talk about. You know, I kind of just want to teach. I want to go do the work. And I've got a lot of things going on, and private clients, I'm going to work a lot with them. But I'm not really interested in, you know, doing this all the time anymore. So I did it for a long season. I did it for 3 years to kind of just, you know, draw out who was ever interested in coming on this path. But we're past that point now. Now we're in the phase of like boots on the ground. Like, I'm not here just to entertain people on YouTube, because it's a very small audience anyway. It's a waste of my time other than drawing certain people out. That's all I'm here for. I'm only here to draw the people out who are on the team. Other than that, there's no reason to ever do this stuff. It's just no point whatsoever. We only need a few dozen of us, and we will win, because the battle's already won. We just need to burn our lamps bright enough so that all of the dark pockets are infected. All right? They're going to be infected by the light. So join me and let's do this, all right?